Three. What's up, everybody? This is the PlayStation Lifestyle Underground podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of PlayStationLifestyle.net. I am Hugo Stiglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Stiglitz underscore 420. And Xbox Live is THNK4URSELF. And with the same two people this week as like usual, you guys want to say what's up?
Sure. I'm Jordash. You can find me on PSN and the internet as Jordash7K.
And I'm Brian Mashala. You can find me on the comments forums as Brian Mashala and on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network as CloudStrife768.
Awesome. So this week I've been playing a lot of F1 actually, and Assetto Corsa because they just did an update for that, which is a pretty nice one. But just been doing a lot of races in F1 in the career mode. Also, I don't know if I said it last week, but I finished up like the campaign of Killzone Shadowfall. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 5, and also I started playing Assassin's Creed 3 on PC and Call of Duty Black Ops 1 on PC as well. And other than that, like on Vita, I've been playing, lots of Call of Duty 4 Prop Hunt on both PS4 and on Vita through remote play, but also like Lara Croft Go, that little puzzle game that's on it, and I think that's about it for me. Yeah. What have you guys been playing lately?
This week, I've done very good on my trophy hunting. I got 3 platinums this week. I finished up my 9,300 kilometer grind in beach buggy racing. I finished that up this past weekend. I also finished up the arcade game series Pac-Man. And then I also finished up Downwell from PS Plus last month. Downwell is on hard mode is super super hard, but I persevered and angrily shouted a few times, but I managed it because man, it is hard and you have to get kind of lucky too. Which for you have to get kind of lucky for like 20 minutes straight. It was a good challenge. I enjoyed it, but it was definitely incredibly hard. I also played a little bit of Mutants in Manhattan, and I was also getting my Gearbox on this week. I was playing Battleborn and Borderlands 2 this week.
Nice.
And that's it for me.
Well, for me, I finished up Agents of Mayhem a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago. And just in time for Destiny 2 to come out, which I've been playing quite heavily since it came out. On top of the usual little bit of Final Fantasy and Fortnite, and that's basically it. It's mostly just been Destiny for me.
Have you
And
tried the raid yet?
no. I unfortunately don't have that kind of time to commit to sitting still without getting or having the ability to get up at any moment's notice to be able to, make 6 people or 5 other people wait. So I just don't really bother. But maybe one day. Hopefully one day, actually. Because
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying Destiny and I really want to check out the raid. Since despite playing a whole lot of Destiny 1, I never touched any of those raids.
Yeah, I only did one of the Destiny 1 raids, and I did it once, and I was like, this is enough because I don't know. I didn't find the raid. I did King's Fall that fun to do, just because you're strapped in the game for several hours at a time. It's just like, yeah, you're fighting bosses, but no, it's not that fun. I think the strikes or Nightfalls or Crucible is a lot more fun than the raids.
All the raids are pretty atypical of an MMO raid, so I'm a little more used to that sort of thing. Just haven't, obviously, in a number of years now, been able to do something like that.
Yeah, see, my problem was trying to upgrade to the point where I could enter the raid, which is another one of the bigger reasons I was unhappy with Destiny. Because the raid looked cool to me, but I don't know. It seemed like it isn't it like a type of thing where like everyone kind of had to know what to do.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
Yeah,
very heavily cooperative thing.
I think that's part of why they didn't want random players to be.
Yeah. If you had one squeaky wheel, you'd be screwed on any part.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Ugh, not in Destiny.
Well, they changed some of those things later on in the game, I believe, because they added like a heroic version to the raids, so they made the regular raids a little more accessible to, pickup groups and stuff like that.
That's good.
And they obviously incorporated that over to Destiny 2 somewhat with the ability for clans to basically carry people through, or experienced people to carry people through the raid,
Huh.
which I don't know if that's even implemented at the moment. If you go to queue up for the raid, it says that feature's in beta, so I'm not entirely sure if it's fully accessible at the moment, but it's something they apparently definitely want to add at some point, which
Yeah, I
is
saw that
good.
feature. That would have been great to have had in Destiny 1, but oh well.
Give it a year and get the Destiny 2 complete for the time edition. I bought the limited edition from GameStop, so I'm set on expansions for at least a year.
Hmm. All right. We didn't mention what we were gonna do for a second news story. So while I'm saying the first one, can you guys figure out one? But our first news story is actually a very cool one, in my opinion. Even though it doesn't really affect me. The Nintendo Switch is not only getting Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, but it's also getting Doom and Wolfenstein 2, which is pretty awesome, I think, because both of those are fantastic shooters. Well, I mean, I assume that Wolfenstein 2 is going to be a fantastic shooter. But yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not sure how well they're going to run, but I do know that ID Tech 6, which is the engine that Wolfenstein 2 and Doom are running on, are very, very well optimized. And I think it is possible that they'll be not only be able to get it to run, but it might actually be kind of decent.
So I just actually read today that at least for Doom, they aren't including multiplayer on
Oh,
the cart. So if
that's
you want to play
surprising.
it's not that it's not included in the game at all. It's just
Oh, you said the cart. Okay.
if you buy the physical cart, then it's not included. And if you want the multiplayer, you can download it separately. So if
Yeah,
you are for
cause
some reason interested in the multiplayer that probably very few people play, you can do it that
well,
way.
I mean, on Switch, I think people will be because it's not like there's not like going to be a ton of options or alternatives as far as like first-person shooter multiplayer stuff like that.
Well, it's possible. So that, I mean, there's that option. Obviously, you will need a SD card to be able to do that.
But
And
also,
also,
go ahead.
oh, and just real quick, also with Doom, they are not including the map edit feature on Switch at all. That's just totally being ignored.
Oh, that's too bad because that is actually a very cool feature. There's lots of cool free content with that map editor, but it does it kind of makes sense. But one thing I am concerned about because on PC and PS4, Doom is enormous. It's 60 gigabytes on PC, if not more, and I think it's about the same on PS4, if not more, because I think
It's a little more. Yeah,
it's
it's like 80 or
huge.
90.
Actually, I
Yeah.
can check right now. And so to fit it on the cart, like, do you know how big the cart is? Isn't it like 16 gigabytes? I think.
They range in size, and obviously the size of it is, the price of it ultimately decides the size of it and all that. I believe they said that they make up to like a 64 gig cart.
Oh, really?
I don't know how expensive that is compared to say like a 32 gig or 16 gig, which
Well,
a lot of Nintendo games are, or Switch games are at the moment at least.
they might need it because on PS4, Doom is 76 gigabytes. Um,
Yeah. Well,
like
that's
because
with the
my
Snap editor and multiplayer, so
true. So it might actually be the 32 that you mentioned, but I am just a little concerned that like Vita, they're gonna compress the audio to death, and it'll sound horrible. I really hope they don't do that, or they do what Vita, many developers for Vita should have done, which is offer downloads for higher quality audio files. Like there was one developer that did that, I know, for like some RPG or something, but that like overwhelmingly they just gave you terrible audio quality, and that was it because they were limited to 4 gigabytes with the retail card that Vita had, which is such a bummer for me because like I'm kind of a stickler for that stuff, and I almost always use headphones when I play the Vita, so it's like it's impossible not to notice. And like Assassin's Creed Liberation is one that was like egregious. Like it's not alone. There were many others, but I really hope that doesn't happen with Switch. But hopefully Nintendo's like a little smart. Plus with SD card support, hopefully they're gonna be a little more liberal with the amount of space to take stuff up, unlike Vita.
especially because they are marketing SD or Nintendo themed SD cards now. Because
Huh.
it's almost a necessity, honestly, to get an SD card for Switch if
Yeah.
you want to really play many games. I mean, for example, Breath of the Wild takes up most of the internal hard drive, and games
Yeah.
like Dragon Quest Warriors 1 and 2 don't fit on a Switch internal drive.
Huh.
Wow.
So, you know,
Interesting.
yeah,
Because on my PC, Breath of the Wild is like 24 gigabytes, I think.
yeah, it's probably somewhere around that range
Yeah, it's
on
pretty
Switch. I
big.
can't exactly remember. It's pretty big, and obviously you have some of the internal memory taken up by the UI and um, saves and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but you can get 128 gigabyte cards fairly cheap. I bought mine for about
128. Yeah, I got one for like 40 recently.
yep, I got one for about 35 a couple months before I got Switch, knowing that I'd want to get that size anyway. So,
Nice.
a lot more manageable than $100 for a 64 gig Vita card, for example.
Yeah, and especially since they friggin' corrupt and you become useless over time. So mad about that still. But okay. So did you find another news story?
Um, well, I thought it was pretty interesting since I'm on a Destiny high that uh, over the weekend, I think it was, they had 1.2 million concurrent players, which is pretty spectacular.
Yeah. It's
It,
all
there is diff-
platforms.
Probably, but all platforms right now just means PC and PS4 without PC yet. That's
What
October.
What about Xbox One?
Or that's what I meant, PS4 and Xbox One.
It's not out on
With
PC yet.
no, at a later time
Oh, that's weird.
in October.
Because they just did an open beta like recently, so maybe that's why it was so close to release. Is that it's like yeah, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, they're giving PC players that taste before they can actually, since they have to wait an extra month.
Yeah. All right. That's Destiny
So
was
one,
always pretty popular. I don't like. I think it's probably like less popular than the first one was. I think the first one lots of. Well, actually, I don't know. That might be untrue. Oh wait, I forgot that the first one was also on PS3 and everything. So
yeah,
I'd be surprised if that didn't have higher numbers. But still, for a second game that got hated by a lot of people like myself, those damn good numbers.
especially just the first week, basically, on 2 of the 3 consoles.
Yeah, because it's not going to Xbox 360 or PS3, right?
Nope, they're totally skipping that generation, and it really
Smart move.
shows.
Smart move.
Yep, it looks absolutely beautiful, and it's pretty obvious that old hardware was kind of holding it back
Hmm.
because Rise of Iron was not on PS3, or
No, it was
360,
not.
I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
So those areas, there was a pretty distinct difference in how nice they looked, and some of the effects, and like the Siva and the strikes and stuff like that were a lot prettier and you know
Yeah.
obvious as a result.
I see. I'm not even that surprised by them having 1.2 million concurrent people because Destiny, even coming out whenever it did 3 years ago, like it still has tons of people to play it every day. I have people that I played Destiny with like at the start of 2016, and those people still play Destiny. I see them still playing Destiny every day.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah, they love it.
it's
Yeah, it's very, 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 very popular.
Bungie nailed it. I mean,
Yeah, they
they
did.
stuttered a lot, and they've fucked up quite a number of things with Destiny 1, but just that the draw of what an MMO is on a console, they nailed it.
No, they really did. Yeah, I played it for several months, which is a long time for me.
Destiny 1 I played on and off for the 3 odd years it was out.
Yeah.
Let's. All right. Our topic this week is most anticipated games. Um, I'm gonna say for the rest of the year and for 2018. Um, I guess I'll start with the ones that are coming up soonest for me, which would be Project Cars. Though I'm gonna wait several months to buy it, just because it's coming out too close to F1 and Gran Turismo. Um, then after that, games I'm definitely getting day one, all in October. The Evil Within 2. Like I think 3 days after that, Gran Turismo Sport, and then Wolfenstein 2, which is pretty much my most anticipated um, game of this year for sure. I just think it looks incredible. I think the first one was incredible, and I mean, if anything, underrated. Like I think it should have sold 1 billion copies. It was so good. Yeah, I'm really excited to play that. But also Evil Within. I really love the first one. Excited for the second one. And of course, Gran Turismo Sport. I played the closed beta. It was awesome. There was a lot of really good things about it. Some things I'm like a little concerned about, and I hope that they fix as far as like the content. But yeah, those are right off the bat 4 games that are coming up that I'm very excited about. And if I had more time, I would also be getting Project Cars 2 on day one because it does look very good. There's a lot of extra stuff they added, which are very, very cool things. And I was a big fan of the first one too, so it's definitely one I'll pick up at some point. But yeah, did I have any in common with you guys at all?
See, I'm glad what you do have in common. You mentioned that time being the enemy is what's stopping you from playing more games. That's my
Yep,
biggest enemy too.
yep.
Yeah, I have, just so many things sitting on the back burner. Say I'll get to it one day.
Also,
Might be
money,
next.
like four $60 games within 1 month. That's $240. Well, I mean, I forget my Best Buy discount, so it's really only 200. But
Yeah, yeah, I hardly, I don't buy anything for $60. I am a patient man, so luckily I sidestep that because I have so many
yeah,
dozen games to play in the meantime. Um,
I only do it for games that I really
yeah,
can't wait for.
yeah. Yeah, the only games that I have bought, like instantly, I got Kingdom Hearts, the collection, and Final Fantasy 12, and I still bought them like Amazon. You can like pre-order most things for like 30% off, so I
Hmm.
still dodged bullets there. I have a few games that I'm excited for in 2017, but the big games I'm more excited for in 2018. The ones that I am excited for at the end of this year, the new South Park game, the new
Hmm.
Middle Earth Shadow of War, the
Hmm.
new Wolfenstein. And I'm also excited for the Horizon Zero Dawn with
Yeah.
the DLC that comes out because I know they'll have like a Game of the Year edition that'll come out around that time, and then or probably in like the winter of next year, and then I'll probably scoop it up then. But the big things I'm looking forward to are 2018 being Borderlands 3 and Kingdom Hearts 3. I played tons and tons and tons of Borderlands. I'm absolutely looking forward to that. And I've played tons and tons and tons of Kingdom Hearts, and I'm absolutely looking forward to that. Uh, yeah, everything on my list is sequels, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
Awfully presumptuous to think that either Kingdom Hearts or Borderlands are going to come out next year, huh?
Yeah,
They said that
unfortunately.
Kingdom Hearts 3 will come out in 2018. They said it. And I'll hold them to it. I'll go to Japan. I'll give them a piece of my mind. They may not understand what I'm saying, but
This
I'll let
is
them
the
know how
same
I feel.
company that announced Final Fantasy 13 and 13 Versus at the same time and took 10 years to make 15.
Well, they didn't announce Kingdom Hearts verses, so I don't even understand what you're talking about. These are two totally different things.
It's a Nomura game, so it'll take the better part of the next 30 years to come out,
Probably.
especially with that episode 1 of Final Fantasy 7 they're working on.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Yeah, I know they haven't announced a date for Borderlands 3, but maybe I'll hope it comes out next year because I want it. Yeah, I still enjoy Borderlands. The Handsome collection makes it just look 100 times better than it ever did on PS3. So it always feels good to pick that up every now and then and spend a day on it.
You're better off listening to Randy Pitchford and applying to Gearbox to make the game because he seems to do that every couple months.
Yeah,
Come make this game. Here's some
yeah,
concept
and
art. Come make it.
oh yeah, but yeah, that's my whole list. Yeah, there's not. I don't think there's going to be anything that I buy instantly over the holidays, but I will be very excited to plan out my Black Friday morning, going around to wherever has cheap games and scooping up like 5 games for $50 like I did last year. That's what I'm looking forward to, saving money.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's it for me.
It's funny. Just because my list is about as big for this year as both the years put together. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But yeah, I could start with what's coming out soonest. And the answer to that question is in about 3 hours. And that is Metroid Samus Returns on 3DS. I'm a huge Metroidvania fan, so when a Metroid game actually comes out, you better fucking believe I'm about to pick that up right away. And I've had it preloaded for a while on my 3DS, and I'm just super stoked and ready to play it and ready to go. Really excited about that one. And of course, Metroid Prime, but I'm just throwing that out there because I know it's not actually going to come out until, if we're lucky, next year, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. Nintendo's usually good about announcing release dates and stuff like that and then being relatively close to when the games actually come out, and all they did with Metroid 4 was prove its existence, and that was enough to make the internet shit itself. But
Is that Metroid? Is that going to be like kind of one of the side scrolling ones, kind of the classic
mhm,
feel? Okay.
yep, that's why I'm really excited about it, because it's about as old school Metroid as it gets. So old school that it's a remake of Metroid 2 that only came out on Game Boy that I never actually played. So
Hmm.
another reason I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Well, what about
especially
You mentioned Super Mario Odyssey. Odyssey is that coming out this
uh,
year?
that is coming out this year. Super Mario Nipples comes out the same day as Wolfenstein. That's probably my highest, most anticipated game period. Not only just because of the nipples, although they help a whole lot. If you haven't seen that, the image around the internet, it's hilarious. Um, Obviously, because we saw a shirtless Link earlier in the year in Breath of the Wild, and not even he had
Yeah.
nipples. So That's why it's
Oh,
funny.
that's
You know?
funny. I
Yeah.
didn't.
I mean, he might have, but the way the graphics work, because they're cell shaded, it was kind of hard to tell whether he had them in or not. And obviously, you put on a shirt after about 5 minutes, anyways, and almost never saw his naked upper body again. But
Interesting.
yeah, Super Mario is easily my most anticipated game, and I ran into quite the conundrum myself because Wolfenstein, and Assassin's Creed Origins all come out on the exact same day, so I had to pick and choose, and I picked and chose Mario and Assassin's Creed. I could wait on Wolfenstein. Very excited to play it, but of those three, I figured I can hold off on Wolfenstein the most. Um, yeah, obviously Assassin's Creed as well. I'm pretty excited about that. Everything they've shown, I'm pretty stoked for. So it'll get some playtime. I mean, it'll get. What am I kidding? It'll get a lot of playtime, but for a good, I assume, several weeks, it's going to be a whole lot of Mario. Mostly also because it's the type of game that I can play with my kid around, which is always a nice boon. Nothing violent,
Boone.
lots of yeah. Speaking of which, I forgot a game I was playing, and that's Mario and Rabbids.
Hmm.
Speaking of Mario, um, skipping back a little bit, I've also been playing a whole lot of Danganronpa. Totally forgot that I've been playing that too, and that's to get ready for Danganronpa 3, which comes out in like 2 weeks. Uh, in terms of story-based games, that's probably the one I'm most looking forward to this year. Mario is just fun Mario. Assassin's Creed is going to be Assassin's Creed Ubisoft, but you want a good story, you play Danganronpa, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm really excited about it.
Assassin's Creed used to have good stories. No more.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Oh, come on. 4. Incredibly lame story.
Uh, uh,
I haven't played
we've
Unity yet, but from what I've heard, even people that like it say the story's not good. Same with Syndicate.
well,
It's mostly
you
about
and
the gameplay now.
you and me have talked about it before, and you like the whole Desmond arc, and I just thought it was
Well, I also like the
pointless and boring.
Ezio parts, and the problem is not only do they not have the actual story of the series going on, but even the stories in the past have been bad. That's another problem, but yeah, no, I would have been pissed either way about them ditching Desmond because I mean he held this entire series together, and it really, especially Assassin's Creed 3 because I've been playing it, it really presented some epic moments, and yeah, no, like the series hasn't been the same since the end of 3. To me, it's not about the story anymore. It's about
It's fair
stabbing
enough.
people in the past. But
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I just something about Desmond was just always really boring to me. He never clicked as a character, not to me, because he just was
well, for me, he
so kind
never
of back
needed
and
to.
forth
It
and
was
whining.
just that his situation was basically, the important one. Going into the past was really a means to an end, and I was more excited about what was going on in the present than I was about Desmond as a character. Like they could have replaced Desmond with an actual character and it would have been fine. Like it wasn't like I don't think anyone had any real attachment to Desmond, or some of the other characters were cool. Like Sean and the other girl was always pretty funny, but Desmond, well, and especially his dad's a douche. But I think like the people just wanted the story to continue, not just we're developing video games now, or I don't even know what's going on in the newer ones, but like it's nothing all that important. Like it seems like the present day struggle between the Assassin Templars is kind of like taking a total back seat to the past story, which I just don't like. I mean, the series started out as like the main goal was to train Desmond so he could be an assassin in the present and help them, defeat the Templars, and then that just kind of never happened, like because they wanted to keep the series going, and I think that's why a lot of people like myself that were actual fans of the original series are unhappy.
So, real quick though, Jordash, did you ever play Assassin's Creed games?
Nope, haven't even played the one from PS Plus that came out last month.
Uh,
I
Oh,
vaguely
that's
know
like
what
a
it's about.
side story. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, you could play it. Like, it wasn't bad, but like, yeah, no, that's
like I
like kind
kind
of
of
like a
know
side
what the
thing.
stories. I know what the story's about. There's the assassins and the Templars, and the Templars are like big pharma, and um,
do
Well,
you?
they're big pharma slash evil Nazis that wanna
I
mind
why
control
why are
everyone
you
on
being
Earth.
redundant? I said big pharma.
Okay, okay.
I don't know how spoilery you want to get.
Don't even care. Go
Okay,
on. Tell.
spoiler alert, just for all three people that listen out there, and for you, just in case down the line. Um, I just totally lost care or any sense of giving a shit about the story the second that Minerva in Assassin's Creed 2 talked to you, the player slash Desmond, through Ezio, because every religion ever is actually some ancient race of super beings and something. I don't
That's
know.
that's not exactly it.
That's
It wasn't religion. Like they weren't.
but I mean
They
I
were
mean like
worshipped. Well, they were kind of enslaved the human race actually. Like, and there was
yeah,
a war
whatever happened, I don't understand it,
before the
and
end.
it totally killed it for me
Well, let me ask this: did you play the games when they released, or did you play them all at once?
when they released.
That's why.
Uh,
I played them all in a row. It's actually incredibly easy to follow compared to something like Metal Gear Solid, which I also played all in a row and benefited from. But like, yeah, no, it was not hard to follow really. Um, it's just that like like just like Metal Gear, it's like when you have an overarching story through games that are separated by several years, it's hard for people to remember details, and there are ways you can find said information, for sure, because they do have all those databases and stuff and stuff like that. But
it's not even that was hard to follow. Just it was so I didn't like it so much that I just stopped caring. And
see, that's when
you
it
know,
got interesting for me and a lot of other people because there was a lot going on that like they didn't quite understand, and that kind of gave it cohesion and kind of gave the series uh, a direction, and it lost that direction once they ditched the overarching story and just said, "Oh, we're developing video games and researching ancestors of an assassin so we can make a pirate game." Like, I'm sorry,
well,
but
there's
that's just
still
not nearly as compelling as
there's
like a
still that like
struggle. A
background story going on with all the games. They just that specific arc, and they even revisit the Minerva God whatever's going on arc in the current games, like in Syndicate. It was pretty heavily
I wouldn't say heavily.
dis-
This about 10, 15 minutes of video total.
well, there was the whole I don't know if you how much you care about Syndicate or want to play, but there's a very fairly large part of it that is describes a lot of it and some like war between a bunch of these crazy beings, and they come to you during World War II when
Hmm.
you're a distant relative of the assassin that you're currently playing as in Syndicate, the girl one,
Hmm.
and there's something about one of them during World War II meeting Athena or Minerva, and one of them is bad and one of them is good, and you're trying to
Juno's
figure it.
bad. Juno's kind of
See,
like a Templar. Minerva's good. She's more like an assassin. She's more on the assassin side. Juno is basically a Templar. I mean, she believes what they believe, that people should be controlled in order to preserve peace, while Minerva believes that people should have freedom, and that So basically, she's the good one, and Juno's the evil one.
gotcha. So that there was some of that. It was just so again, it's really I don't find it compelling. I never did. So that's some of the problems that I had with the game,
I did. I mean, especially
and
because there
that's
was like a lot of the most amazing moments from all of those games really were the parts where they were revealing things about the overall story, like especially the ending of Revelations. I mean, and to me, the best part of Brotherhood was the ending because the actual story within was as bad, if not worse, than Assassin's Creed 4. I think, like, probably, like, so it's like that was the one game in the original series that was like, you know, it actually did have quite a focus on Desmond. It was pretty cool because you went to the villa in modern day, which was fun. You also went to the Roman Colosseum in modern day, which was fun. But the actual past story of Ezio was bad. Like it just wasn't interesting at all, and so it's like not to say that all the original Assassin's Creeds were good, but tying together the story I thought was very important because it gave the series direction, and I found it incredibly compelling. It's one of my favorite stories in gaming, frankly, and I think that not only do they not have an overarching story now, but from what I've played and from what I've heard, even the past stories are not good. Like they're on level with Brotherhood rather than being epic stories like Assassin's Creed 2 or even 1. Even 1 had a very good story. 3 had an epic story as well. And I'm learning that more and more this because I'm playing it through the second time now. And I've just like, I remember why I loved the series so much by playing it. Just because this one has the most of a combination of historical story and overarching, and it's not my favorite in the series, but it's damn near because of that. Because the Desmond's parts are the most fun they have ever been in the series. Like, because he actually did actual missions, which were fun, and it's not like him being like a full-on assassin, but like it almost is. Like, it's just like they always kind of like led you to believe that there was going to be a point where Desmond was gonna a full game was going to be modern day, and because that would basically mean the end of the series pretty much. That's what always was hinted. They axed that idea and just do what they're doing now with this like loose association with the overarching story and the battle between assassins and Templars, which the series was founded on to begin with, and in favor of just like giving random historical stories for people to play because it's most of Assassin's Creed's audience is more casual and doesn't care about the story, and I think that's kind of the direction they're going and why I don't have any plans of playing Syndicate or the other one. I will give Unity a try, but if I don't like that yeah, I'm not gonna bother with Syndicate.
Syndicate has. I don't even remember the story. All the stories has been forgettable for me. Black Flag, forgettable.
Very.
Unity, something about the French Revolution, and a love story.
Hmm.
Didn't play Rogue. Syndicate, something about
Yeah, screw Rogue.
something in London.
I don't know why anyone would ever want to play as a Nazi, basically. That wants to enslave the human race, but whatever. They made that game where you play as a Templar. Stupid. But, I don't know. Let's get back to most of the State of the game. I think we've gone off on Assassin's Creed enough.
Well, just one last thing for me personally. I'm most excited for Origins, mostly because I love the gameplay, even the ship sailing in Black Flag. and that's the team that's working on Origins. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm pretty excited for an Assassin's Creed more so than I have been in recent
I mean, I
years.
like
Or
I
this
like
one.
Egyptian mythology, but from what I've seen, like them kind of making it more RPG sounds like it'll be even less interesting to me than the past few. So yeah,
I love me a good RPG, so I have no problems with that.
I just don't have a lot of faith in that they can pull it off because to me, gameplay, combat, all of the other elements in between has never been Assassin's Creed's strong suit. The world, the open world, and the combat has never been the strong suit for me. It's always been the stories, to a certain extent, the settings, like the time periods and stuff. Um, but it's mostly been the story missions and stuff like that have been and those have to me progressively got worse over time with more tailing missions and just boring stealth sequences and stuff like that. Also, like I prefer the European cities where the buildings are much closer together because to me it's much more fun to run around across rooftops than to run down a street. You know what I mean? Like that's just my opinion. Um, which is one thing I don't like about Assassin's Creed because it's Boston, so the streets are very wide and it's actually very difficult to run across rooftops. Just unless there's trees in between, basically. I don't know, but enough about that. Um, now, so we've covered 2017, correct?
No,
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
even
keep
think
going.
Brian finished his
I was
list.
I was about half done with 2017, I think.
Okay.
Uh, what else is near or coming out? I'm pretty excited about. Now, also, these are all games that I have pre-ordered and paid off, or probably will be paying off shortly soon because I believe in pre-ordering games when it's necessary, of course. Uh, I'm pretty excited about Fire Emblem Heroes. One, I love Fire Emblem. Two, I love a good Heroes game. Three, why wouldn't I want a portable Heroes game on Switch? So I'm pretty stoked about that. There are a bunch of little indie games like SteamWorld Dig 2 comes out in a couple days, and some other ones that I don't necessarily need to spend the time talking about. But um, what else is there in November? I'm excited to play Call of Duty. I'm not gonna buy it this year, I don't think, but I want to play the campaign for sure because I miss World War II. I miss that setting, so I'm pretty excited to play that again. What I am actually going to be buying and playing though is in December, which is when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out.
Hmm.
Yep, that was also confirmed with a date during the little Nintendo Direct yesterday. December 1st is actually when it comes out, so really excited about that. I've loved all the Xenoblade games. I loved Xenogears, I love Xenosaga, I love Xenoblades. Give me everything Xeno, and I will buy it. And yes, in case you are not sure if I said that correct, Jordash, Xenoblade Chronicles are those games are the spiritual successors to Xenogears and Xenosaga.
We have talked about this before.
Okay.
I have not forgotten.
Okay. I'm just letting everyone know. Xenogears is alive and well on Switch. And finally, I'm also pretty excited about Pokemon. I buy every Pokemon just because I can't stop.
The last one I bought was X. I didn't get or S or Sun or Moon.
I got both of those, and I especially loved Sun and Moon. So
I might get Sun or Moon soon, just because that's
they're,
a new one.
they're pretty new. They're pretty interesting, and it's actually they it's the first Pokemon game that actually changes up the formula quite a bit because there are no more gyms, and they weren't kidding about that.
What?
Yep.
So what do you do then?
You There are 4 islands, like Hawaii. Well, not exactly like Hawaii. Hawaii is like 8 islands, but you have your 4 islands that you go around to. You partake in a number of challenges on those islands, and you get basically the instead of a badge, you get the equivalent of a Megastone for unleashing your Pokemon's super moves
Hmm.
of a certain type. So there's I don't know how many types there are now, 15 or 16 or 18.
Something like that. Yeah.
You get a stone to unleash a super move for each of those on per each challenge, and then at the end of the island that you're currently on, there's one more like ultimate challenge that's closest to being a traditional gym battle. And then obviously once you defeat all 4 for each of the islands, then you fight the Elite Four.
All right. So there's not gyms, but they have like exercise stations. I get it.
They have instead of 8 gyms, there's 4 gyms, and to make up for it, you have like 16 challenges in between.
Hmm.
So not super different, but different enough, and it's actually pretty tough. I actually struggled quite a bit playing it.
Really, I didn't struggle at X on X like at all.
No, they've been super easy since
They
Diamond
started
and
making the
Pearl.
game. Oh.
Well, Diamond and Pearl were a little tough, I thought, and the original, as long as you didn't have one overpowered single Pokemon, then it could be tough. But Diamond and Pearl was actually kind of difficult, and they made Sun and Moon fairly difficult for Pokemon games.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that's good. And like I said, I'm a sucker for Pokemon, so I've always had the excuse to be able to buy them because my wife likes Pokemon too. So she gets one, I get the other, and
Hmm.
that's my
Oh, that's good.
excuse and justification for buying them every single time. So it's always worked out. It'll work out this time too, I think. I hope. But amazingly, I think that's it for 2017 for me.
All right.
Oh, and Pokemon Gold and Silver, the original Virtual Console releases are coming to 3DS. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Cool. All right. Well, before I move on to 2018, I just wanted to quickly mention there are some DLCs for Resident Evil 7 I'm looking forward to. I probably will rent Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Call of Duty World War 2. I might buy them at some point, and I don't even believe in renting, but there's a couple reasons I'm not happy with Call of Duty World War 2 and Battlefront 2. I'm unsure about. Like, we'll see. If it's good, I probably will end up buying it, especially because from what I heard, the season pass is going to be free, so I think that's a good thing. But I just wasn't that big of a fan of the first one, so um,
Oh, the first Star
Battlefront.
Wars Battlefront.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Battlefront is like $5 for like the game plus season pass in the store right now.
Yeah, I
Yep.
bought the season pass recently for $5, and now the season pass free. Like it was like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. I mean, not a big deal, but it's pretty funny. I was like, I'll spend $5 to not have to wait a couple months for the season pass to be free because I knew it was going to be because that happened with Battlefield 4 and Hardline, and then 2 weeks later it's like, so it's all right though. It's only $5. Um,
Yeah.
just kind of funny. Like it seems like they're being even quicker with that, and it makes sense because um, like there's less and less players on it, and then like for those maps to go to waste would be kind of be a travesty because like they put a lot of effort into those maps. A lot of them are very good maps, so I think it's cool that eventually they release them for free. But I do think people should keep that in mind when they're going to spend that $50 on the season passes. Although supposedly Battlefront 2 won't have one. Um,
Titanfall doesn't have one.
but the DLCs do cost money.
Some of the more intense cosmetic ones, maps and modes and stuff like that are free. If you want to make your Titan look really, really awesome, then that costs money.
Don't the maps? Because I saw some DLCs that were like $20 each. Those
Yeah,
aren't
that's like a
maps.
color. No, all the maps are free. I think the
Oh,
$20 ones you're talking about are like a collection
that's
of
surprising.
um, Titans that were something about. I don't exactly know. I haven't bought any of them, but I believe they're like cosmetic Titan
I love
thing.
that strategy of DLC though. To me, that's the one time that microtransactions in a $60 game is okay, is if they're releasing stuff like maps or in racing games, tracks for free. But then they have some smaller stuff, cosmetic stuff that people that really like the game can grab. And that's how Killzone Shadowfall was at launch. That's how Drive Club was. That's how Assetto Corsa is. Tracks free, pay for cars. And Titanfall, you say, and I think that's the strategy they're going with Battlefront 2. So that I think that's a good way to go, and I think that's where microtransactions are excusable, which is not the case with Call of Duty, which it's kind of messed up over there. But at the same time, though, if you really grind, you can earn stuff too. But I don't know. That maybe that wasn't the best example, but okay, 2018. Now, uh, I I guess I'll start with the ones that are probably releasing the earliest. But Far Cry 5, the more I see of it, the more I'm interested. Like, I wasn't at first just because I've never been, like, the hugest fan. And also, I'm kind of burnt out on open world games. But to me, the setting does seem pretty cool because to me, it looks like maybe not suburbs, but like kind of country slash, like, it's like places I've seen in my life. Like, I don't live in, like, a country location, but the town right below me is sort of country-ish. Like there's like houses, tons of farms, houses spread way apart. So it's that kind of vibe, but not in the south. But like to me, that's interesting because I can't remember any modern games that weren't in a city and were just like in suburbs. So that's interesting. Also, because I'm hoping that they improve the stealth mechanics. From what I've heard, they haven't, but we'll see. Like, because that was one of the other issues I had with Far Cry is this. I've always felt like the stealth mechanics were kind of bad. Like they have the indicator, but it's like once someone spot you, they all know where you are, and you can't lose them. Basically, I don't know. And they spot you incredibly easy sometimes too. I always
Well,
found
if
it a little
you
frustrating. Like unless you were super careful.
yeah, if you're not doing the crossbow from at range, then you're gonna get seen, and that's basically the stealth in Far Cry.
Yeah, I felt like it was a little finicky at times, and um, yeah, like it just wasn't my cup of tea. But also like just the story. At least I thought the story in 3 was pretty cool, but the story in 4 was underwhelming, and like I don't know, an open world usually isn't enough for me. But I'll give it a shot probably once it's cheaper. Same thing with the Crew 2, mostly because it's always online. Like I actually think it looks cool. Like the addition of planes is going to be fun because I really like flying planes in games, especially when I can, if I don't want to fly planes, I can just go drive a car. So it looks interesting to me. Just the fact that it's always online means I'm not going to spend more than 15, $20 on it, especially if they shut down the Crew 1 servers shortly after that releases. Like, at that point, I don't even know what I'll do. Like, I might buy it used just so they don't get a single cent from me because that would be very uncool. And it's one of the main reasons why I hate always online games, for the fact that you don't own it. It's really a glorified rental because they can shut you down anytime you want, or your internet can go down. You don't have the game anymore. Like so, to me, it's a glorified rental, and I just won't spend big money on it. That's just my personal rule. And then We Happy Few, I'm also interested, but that's another one where I'm not sure I'm going to spend the full price on. I might. It looks really, really cool. I've always been interested in it, but I'm not sure what it will have content-wise, because the early access was kind of bare bones. Like it's something that I probably wouldn't spend more than 20 on, and I think they are going to add a story or like a a story type mode, but I'm just not sure it's enough to be $60. Um, but I think, as far as I can remember, that's it for third-party stuff for me. Like, I might be forgetting stuff, or like some other stuff that's coming way down the line. Um, and I'm not thinking of Red Dead Redemption 2. I was not the biggest fan of the first one, so I'm not really looking forward to that. If it comes out, it turns out to have an amazing story, I'll probably get it for sale, but I'm not like really anticipating it or anything like that. Unlike pretty much the rest of the world. But exclusives, that's really what I'm looking. Oh, how could I forget? Probably my most anticipated game for next year, Metro Exodus. That I'm a massive fan of the first two games, and even the books. So yeah, obviously I'm hugely psyched for that. I'm not sure when it's coming out, if it's early or late, but either way, I'm getting that one day one. That's a guarantee. But for PlayStation exclusives, for one, Shadow of the Colossus, which aside from Metro Exodus is really the game I'm looking forward to most next year. That trailer looked absolutely incredible. It's like one of the remakes. I don't know if, other than Ratchet and Clank, I don't know if very many remakes that had that much work put into them. Um, and it's just like one of my favorite games of all time. It's in my, I think, top three or four, at least top five. But definitely gonna play it day one as well. And God of War, of course. And I think it's supposed to come out in March. I'm psyched for it. Like, I know some people are unhappy with the direction the series is taking gameplay wise.
They're dumb.
I don't know, like, I wouldn't call them dumb. Like, I can understand the point, like, when it, because it is a departure, but at the same time, I feel like it's an evolution, and maybe one that will pay off, because to me, the third-person perspective that it has could end up being a lot of fun. Like, we'll see when it comes out. But, like, I had so much fun with the combat of Hellblade, and I know it's definitely going to be different than that combat-wise, because Hellblade was, like, very close quarters, very visceral, like, and, not like, we weren't fighting very many huge bosses. There were a couple huge bosses, but it's not like God of War where you're fighting massive, stuff. Um, Also, a lot of the times you were surrounded, and it used audio cues to tell you when you had to dodge or counter, which I absolutely loved. I don't know if God of War is going to be like that at all, or if it's going to be kind of like the past games in third person, which is kind of what it looked like to me. But to me, it could be fun, because I haven't played a ton of third person melee games like that from that perspective. Hellblade is just the first one that comes to mind, and I loved it, so I'm looking forward to it. Plus, story-wise, I think it could be very cool. The story of him and his son, I hope it, like, if it's not a good story, I think that could hurt the game a lot for me, because I'm expecting a good story, because it seems like they're focusing on it so much in the trailer, so I'm expecting a lot from it, but overall, the game looks awesome to me. Days Gone as well. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like, to me, it looks like a lot of fun. I've liked Sony Ben's past games, and also like just like the kind of, that's one open world game that I actually am pretty psyched for, because like I'm not always into open world games. I'm not always into survival type games. This one, from what I've seen, like the mechanics as far as like the crafting and RPG elements, looks awesome. Like, I really like how they've done it, like how they've combined those elements, but kind of simplified them, not made them like overly complicated, or I don't know. In my opinion, boring sometimes. Like, sometimes when games try to do too much, it can kind of just ruin the experience. To me, it looks like very cool. Also, it seems like for an open world game, it seems pretty story heavy. Like, there's a lot of dialogue going on, and like sub stories within the moment to moment gameplay that seem awesome. So yeah, that's another one that I'm almost definitely going to get day one, in addition to God of War. Detroit Become Human, also, like, I've always been a fan of Quantic Dream, and who knows when that'll come out, but I'm definitely going to get that day one too. I feel like I'm forgetting another one. What other big game is supposed to come out for Sony next year?
There is the Horizon expansion this year that we
That's
forgot.
November. No, well, Jordash mentioned it, and
Oh,
I, yeah, I've already pre-ordered that, and yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to that. Like, I loved Horizon, and the expansion, from what I've seen, looks really, really cool. But so did it? Yeah, maybe I'm not forgetting anything as far as like the Sony first-party big releases. Those are the main three, correct? Spider-Man. And you could argue that maybe it's not going to come out next year. I think it will. It's Insomniac. They've been pretty consistent with getting releases out on time. So yeah, I think it's going to be out next year, most likely, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Almost definitely a day one purchase as well.
if
But
it actually
that
comes out, yeah.
that is it for me. So yeah, if you guys have any games in common, mention those for sure. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's all you, Brian. Yeah, my list was short for this, so
Um, all right. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to God of War. That's probably the big Sony exclusive off the top of my head that is most likely going to come out. I really don't think Spider-Man is next year because they just have a tentative 2018 date in. They haven't shown off. I don't know. Just